In this video, we will explore the extended sports marketing mix elements, and instead of just applying it unilaterally, for example, just looking at the product or the tangible aspect, the additional three elements kind of resulted from the idea that all businesses have some intangible or service aspect. So we're going to look at all of them, and then I'm going to show you how you can use Claude to generate your own practical tables so that you can kind of understand it a little bit better. Just a disclaimer, the content I'm talking about is from this textbook. It is a newly, freshly published textbook in South Africa for the South African perspective, and we are looking at chapters 4 and 5. So if you are interested in this material, you can visit the publisher, Utah Pass Masters. We want to know how to distinguish between each element by using products and services, and I will feature Cyclelab and Hyrox for the practical demonstration. If we look at the common definitions of the four traditional elements, it is product, price, place, and promotion, and you can just go ahead and pause and reflect on the definitions. I'm instead going to focus on how it looks in terms of practical examples for products and then also services. For the product, it could be a tangible good like a sports equipment, apparel, merchandise, generally those examples. However, the intangible or service aspect could be coaching, event experiences, or fitness programs, subscription services, and so on. Those products or services you consume that you cannot touch. You can't go to the store and pick it up, pay for it, and leave. It is intangible. When we look at the price, always relay, of course, the example to the product and then the service. If we look at sports equipment, it could be a fixed or dynamic pricing structure for the goods based on the brand and quality. And of course, we know based on brand equity, position, and popularity and demand that different brands like Nike and Puma or Adidas have different price points, or even if there's a brand in your context that is not necessarily in the same realm of Nike or those popularized brands. But that determines the pricing. The point is not to explain pricing strategies or why it is the way it is. It is to say that you will pay X amount for a specific product and apparel and merchandise and so on. For the services, there could be subscription fees and many, whether it's games or coaching programs, it could be a once-off annual subscription fee. If we look at the new packages for DSTV just to access sport, it is a monthly subscription, or if you want to save, you can purchase the subscription for 10 months or a year subscription, and then it stays fixed. Also then ticket prices. So when you go to an event or a tournament, it is still an experience. So experiences, events, news, and all of those intangible things are linked to services. And of course, you pay the ticket price. You do not own any aspect of that, of course, but then you need access to experience the tournament or spectate. So those are ticket prices. While the ticket, yes, it is a physical thing, but that is not what you pay for. You pay for the experience. So there are also pay-per-use charges for sports services. For place, it is I prefer the distribution channel as the discussion or the explanation of that. So that explains it a bit better in terms of where do you receive or use this product or service? Where should you physically go? With products, and not to be confused with online platforms which are intangible. Surely it is intangible, but it's where you purchase the physical product, the tangible aspect. So if you go to, we will get into examples for Cyclelab or ProShop. It is either the physical locations or their online stores or the apps they use for mobile commerce. For the service aspect, so the location or digital platforms where the services are delivered. So besides the Cyclelab example, for those who are familiar with Strava, it is a digital platform. It's an app on your phone or a web version on your PC where you can track your stats, and it is a third-party host for all of your activities that syncs from your different service providers. Then with promotion, it is in terms of products, advertising campaigns, sponsorships, endorsements, where they promote the physical equipment. Then with sports services, it could be campaigns, partnerships, and promotional events to essentially advertise and promote the services aspect. So for those four, we are going to refer to CycleLab for practical examples, and then I'll touch on a few. Of course, you can just pause the video and look at a few examples there to understand it. This is the table I generated, and for the additional mix elements, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that yourself. CycleLab is a South African-based cycling company, so they sell all things cycling and to some extent running. It is a cycling shop, so bicycles. As we will go through the examples, you will get a clear idea. But if you just Google CycleLab, I'll post a link in the description box if you want to visit the store just to see what they offer. If we want to see practical examples of what the difference is between CycleLab products and CycleLab services, in terms of product, again, it repeats the definition just to keep your mind into what we are discussing. So you refer back to that, and then when you use it as a study tool or to develop it for your own business, this is a good tool you can share with either investors or with students in my case, or just for your own general understanding. For tangible sports equipment, they have Specialized Track and Cannondale. These are bike brands. Also entry-level bicycles, Marvel, Titan Racing, Silverback, Signal, those are examples there. But they also, of course, sell cycling accessories, helmets, apparel, components, and branded merchandise and safety equipment. With the cycling accessories, there is also things like a tubeless conversion kit, sealant for tubeless setups, new pedals, saddles, and all that. When we relay it to their services, so when you purchase the physical product, they offer a service of professional bike fitting for X amount. Please, as another disclaimer, the RAND values are AI generated. You have to verify whether these are the correct prices. I do not. This is not an advertisement for them. It's just generating the content, and you have to verify that. It might not be accurate. Regardless, now you have your premium bike or your entry-level bike, but now after a year or so, you need to go back to the store to have it undergo a service, maintenance, or repair. So say you had a crash or the chain snapped or anything like that, there is options for that in their service center, so the workshop that they have in each of their locations. There's another option of what is a service for them. Expert consultation, they have coaches that are invested with their school series, just their technical advice in general if you want to upgrade some of the components. That is not something you can physically touch. It's a service that you pay for. Also, like I alluded to just in a previous point, training programs and safety education. So intangible aspects in terms of the product and tangible aspects in terms of the product. When we move over to pricing, again, these are not accurate because some of their bicycles go over to 100,000 Rand. Just double check for that. This is just to illustrate the differences. So they have fixed and dynamic pricing for the tangible aspect. It's always easier if you look at the product and then apply each of the further elements in terms of the product one to the actual product. So let's go on with a track super caliper. Let's just go with that. That is going to be a premium bicycle, and they would be fixed and dynamic pricing. For example, fixed pricing could be the one-off. You pay, let's for argument's sake, 80,000 Rand once off. That's the fixed price. However, if you take it on a payment plan, it would be a different price. We will get to the payment plans here. For mass market, that would be your entry-level bicycles. So it is more towards accessibility and affordability. So let's say I purchase a Marvel bicycle. It is significantly lower than that. So it's the price for the bicycle. For the next one, again, always verify the content that you generate using AI. What I would instead say with currency impact, probably because of economic or inflation, whatever the case may be, I wouldn't necessarily use this as a solid example for the pricing, except to say that there would be an increase because of several conditions. And then competitive pricing is just a strategy. So these are more implications, influences, and strategies. What we want to focus on for the price is the price of the physical product. So a helmet ranging from 500 to 3,000 Rand, shoes ranging from 1,000 to 6,000, the price you pay for the product, essentially. However, the service price is, so you take your bicycle for a service or fitment, and that is the pricing that you pay for it. So here it says 2,500. I'm not sure what the actual price is. Again, AI generated. So then you have the bike fitting, which is an intangible aspect of purchasing a bike. So the person that is the expert will do the bike fitting for you. You can't touch that. It is literally a service, and this is the price you pay for that service. So the basic tune-ups, the ProShop edition there is because the input I used for the prompt takes in consideration the entire architecture of the business, and ProShop typically forms part of CycleLab because both of them fall under the mother company, which is More Corp. Then, as I mentioned, with the dynamic and fixed pricing, there are flexible payment options, so lay-by, but also, yes, financing from banks like First National Bank, where you can enter, as you would a vehicle financing agreement, you would do a bike financing agreement. And then there's also subscription models, let's say for maintenance packages, but also subscription models for CycleLab Active, which is their community-based club. It is a cycling club. That is also part of the pricing structure. For the place, again, if we revert back to the bicycle, the product, where is the distribution channel for me to purchase a bike? It's going to be at the stores or it's going to be online, the e-commerce platform. So cycleapp.com. ProShop is the golf shop. And then again, it is not to say that all of the information is accurate. Please remember that. Point being the physical locations and also the online store. Okay, so where is the place for my bike fitting service or my annual service to repair or maintain my bicycle? Again, yes, you purchase from the flagship store or from any store, but all of CycleLab's physical locations has a workshop. So it's the in-store service center, their workshop, with the expert, say, Shimano or SRAM technicians. So they need the qualified individuals to maintain and repair and perform your bike fit. There are also perhaps mobile service offerings. So they visit you at your workplace or at home, because the people that can usually afford the higher end bikes are in the corporate environment, and then they are very busy, not at home as much, or cannot visit the store. Then perhaps they could go there and do the service at their work or at home. So the delivery location is using a mobile service to meet the customer. There's also digital consultation platforms, for argument's sake. If you have a consultation with a nutritionist or with for a training program with a coach, the initial conversation could be on a digital consultation platform like Microsoft Teams or Zoom. That could be where you receive the training program, the service, product, and all of those. So where is the distribution channel for a service that you pay for? And where is the location for a physical product that you purchase? Lastly, for the promotion. So the emphasis on communication strategy. So how do they physically promote or promote the physical products instead, or how do they promote service options too? So if they are hosting an event like they do, it's the CycleLab MTB School Series. They promote this on Instagram, generating their content, doing interviews with the kids, the leaders, and also on Facebook they advertise it, on Bike Hub, which is a selling platform they could advertise it, different cycling forums, newsletters. That is where they would distribute and communicate their, let's say, next event, or CycleLab Active, the club they have or the community they have. Also, like I mentioned, professional cycling team associations through Cycling SA. There could be educational campaigns. So these are just some examples of how they communicate the services they offer. Typically, they could also use Instagram to say, and they typically do this for major events in South Africa. gear up for a Galaxy or Virgin Active 947, and you could get 50% off your bike check to make sure everything is in tune for that event. And then they link it to an activity or a major event, and then they have that type of promotion. So not to get confused with the heading that says service promotion on you get 50% off. 50% off is just part of the campaign that they use Instagram or Facebook or other channels to promote the service. Just be clear on that. Advertising the products that could be used on Google, their website SEO, various social media platforms where they would advertise their latest catalog. If you are on their customer database, you receive an email, you receive an SMS, and that is how they advertise their latest catalog for specials. Those are the differences between Cyclelab's product and Cyclelab's service. Now we want to go ahead and move on to the additional elements. So this includes people, process, and physical evidence. And as mentioned earlier in the video, this is because of the intangible nature and the service aspect associated with most businesses in modern times. Not to overemphasize or to confuse any viewer, but there are pure services, and this is part of some of the previous videos on the channel, where pure services don't necessarily have a physical product for application. So it is all contextual, and of course this video is just to explain for a variety of businesses and sports entities how you can distinguish between the application for products and services. If we look at people, students or corporate individuals or those working on strategizing have the misconception that people refer to the customer, and it does not at all. It is the people internal to your business who works for you, the staff. So again, just standard definitions to contextualize the following answers. It is the people involved in your design, production, distribution of your products. So factory workers at the base. If you are a company like Cyclelab or Sportsman's Warehouse or any type of sports business, people need to manufacture the components, the bikes, all of that. So those are the factory workers. But you also need the people that design it. They have to design all of the products. Then there's the testing individual that tests the rigor of the products for safety. Then there are the sales representatives, the store managers, the people that work on the floor that make sure people are assisted. Those obviously the requirements of a sales rep. But then also they have supervisors, and those that also get in temporary, or not temporarily, but periodically they get in the experts from a specific brand. Let's say from the example of the Trek bike, they have a Trek representative or a Wahoo representative to have a chat or a session on the new or the latest equipment that they sell. And then retail staff, I covered briefly as well. However, these individuals are responsible for the production, which we will get to, for the product. So how about the service? So who is involved with delivering the actual service? So it could be customer service staff. So someone was unhappy with a specific element. If they want to host, let's go back to Cyclelab, if they want to organize the next school MTB series, they need the organizers to do that. So it is the people involved with delivering the service. So yeah, there could be volunteers. There could be the people that have to set up so the events, of course, and organize rides. There are the people, of course, that need to do all of the social media advertising. That is also part of a service. Depends on whether you advertise for product or service. So very distinct in terms of those involved in producing a product, those involved in producing the service. That's the people, it's the employees. Process. So what happens from point of inception to point of delivery for a product and a service, and how does that differ? So straightforward for products. I think everyone has been familiar with the process of how a product comes to be from inception to on the shelf to a customer. So you have to obviously develop it. There's testing, there's test marketing, then you manufacture it, you package it, and you distribute it to customers, and they buy it. If we go back to Cyclelab, we have the bicycle. Someone has to use very complicated software and design the latest frame. They manufacture the various independent components. a person which is then linked to the product needs to assemble. So the factory workers assemble during the manufacturing process. They assemble it, they put it in the nice, lovely boxes, and of course they ship it to the specific vendor. And then after that, there's point of sales, or of course online, you distribute it and the customer gets to buy the actual product. But for services, it is the process in delivering the service. So ticketing. Well, the ticket, like I mentioned in the previous 4 Ps, it is a physical object, but it is access. Ticket is an access to something, an event, a concert, a race, a trail event, a seminar about sports, a conference about sports. Then, of course, they use sites like Quicket or Ticketmaster or their own service that they have. And then, of course, someone needs to generate the codes. Someone needs to make sure the pricing is correct, the links were correct. And then when they do the advertisement for a specific service, they need to make sure everything works in the back end so that the tickets are issued digitally and so on. And then, of course, the booking. If they are hosting an event, they have to make sure all of the events, the physical locations, the service providers, everything is booked and the system works very well. So communication is very important with all of the service providers in the network. Then also customer interaction system. So with CycleLab, they have an email system, but they also have a chatbot on their website, but then it gets replaced by a person that virtually interacts with the customer. So for queries or feedback on orders and things like that. So that is the process of that. So the process involves setting up the chat tool online or a WhatsApp, direct WhatsApp, coding the system for auto responses so that the customer can click what they want exactly, and then interacting, having a service provider or a customer rep available to interact with the customer. There also needs to be a process where the customer knows exactly what to do with that. With the product, it is a lot easier for customer, as we are in the e-commerce boom. Well, we have been for a while, where customer knows to visit the website, add to cart, payment system, checkout, and essentially and collect or deliver. But with the service, if a customer isn't familiar with how to use, in CycleLab's example, the online chat function, there needs to be some guidance on that. So there would be a prompt to click on because I typically do this on CycleLab. At the bottom, there is a pop-up. It would say click for more. If it just pops up automatically, click to chat. Then you would click on it, and then it gives you a form to fill out with your name, your email, so that they can get back to you. And then a real person, an agent whose name displays, will start the conversation. And there's a lot of prompts you can follow as the customer. So it is a very straightforward process, which brings me to the next point. The process should be seamless, convenient, and not frustrating for a customer to use, because that is resulting automatically in high bounce rates. With the last element, physical evidence, what are the tangible elements that customers can see? I'm going to use it as a straightforward example before we move into developing this for Hyrox. Physical evidence of the track bike is the physical product, which is the bicycle, and then also the box. It is when I see the box, they unbox it, I can see the branding, I can see the physical product. That is as easy as it goes for that. With a service, so let's say you booked for a mountain bike race, your evidence would be either your online ticket or your physical ticket. It would be when you go to the event, it would be your race board. It would be the signage when you go to the event. Those are the physical evidence of the existence of this event. So how do I know it exists? I look at the physical evidence, which is X, Y, Z. Now I want to move over to showing you how to use Claude to generate the table that we just discussed for the additional elements. First thing I want to do is I want to go back to the table and I want to go ahead and grab that. I'm going to say Control C, which is copy, and then I'm just going to paste it there. I'm just going to hang around there for now, but first I need to tell Claude a little bit more about Hyrox so that it provides the correct information I'm looking for. So what I found also was this video. I'm going to copy the link. So this video explains what HYROX is, HYROX for beginners in 5 minutes. So I got that. I'm also then going to, just for now, paste the link there. But then I'm also going to just go over to their website or to whatever Gemini gives me. I'm going to scan, because this is exactly where I got the information from. Let's go into HYROX's website itself instead. And then typically I'll go to the About page. I'm going to go ahead and just copy the link because obviously AI can scan exactly what's going on the page. So I'm going to copy my link there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start my prompt. I'm going to say, consider the, let's say, extend sports marketing mix elements in the attachment. I then want to say, produce the same table format retaining the definition, and applying it to HYROX using the YouTube link and web URL. Let's see, consider the extended sports marketing mix elements in the attachment. We got that. Produce the same table format, retaining the definition and applying it to HYROX using the YouTube link. This is literally winging it. Let's see what Claude gives us. So you'll see Claude is going to run the code to develop the table. So this is what happens in the back end. Then Claude just summarizes exactly what he did for you. I'm not going to worry about that right now. What I want to do is show you that it took the table with the prompt, it produced, in terms of the 3 additional elements, the examples for HYROX. So let's have a look at what it produced. 4 people for the product. People involved in the equipment design, production and distribution of the fitness equipment, manufacturers, event organizers, and retail partners selling HYROX branded merchandise and training gear. Excellent. I'll link the video of HYROX in the description so that you can see what they mean and link it to the product. For the service, remember this is the event for fitness people. You saw that briefly in the previous screen. It's the race experience, the race directors, timing officials, safety marshals, volunteer station operators. So who is responsible in terms of people for the race experience, and who is responsible for the equipment to have the race take part, or to have that happen, essentially. Okay, what is the process for the product? So standardized processes for manufacturing and quality control for the race kits, the distribution of the merchandise, making sure these products get to the event location and so on. So the quality control of the physical products. Make sure they operate as they are supposed to. Again, if you watch the video, you will have a better idea. If we look at application for process in terms of service, delivery including the online registration system. Of course, if people want to enter this fitness race, they need to be able to register and pay online. Check-in procedures, setup, and then of course you need to know exactly how that works, timing, scoring systems. That is how they operate the service for the race event. However, as mentioned with the previous discussion, those who intend to race for the first time HYROX, because this is quite new, they would need to know exactly how the process works. So this is typical in the promotional material, is they have a stepwise guide, an infographic that explains to the customer or the potential racer, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. From the internal perspective, the people have to make sure all of this is in place so that the customer knows exactly how to do it. What are the physical evidence of the HYROX product? Of course, it's the HYROX branded equipment. The ski ergs, the rowing machines, the sandbags, kettlebells. Again, when you watch the video, you will see exactly all of the equipment. even in the arena, the physical location, all of it will be Hyrox branded. And of course, for the service, the indoor exhibition hall with all of the branding, the timing displays, the signage, the ticketing. So if you get your stamp or your numbers on your body or wherever that may be, if it's a band, live leaderboards, the bibs, the medals, those are the physical evidence. So for example, the race bibs, which is your number, or the medals that signifies you completed it. So that would be the service examples. Okay, so now you have this on Claude. So how do you get this on your computer? If you download the HTML, you're only going to have the code. What you can do is, what I did is I just said publish. So I'm going to go ahead and publish this. And then I'm just going to hit publish. And then this is now public, the same as with the Cyclelab example. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy my link, and then I'll save this link. If I open it into a new tab, it is now published. So then if you want to, I'll add the link in the box as well, so you can access that easily if you want to use this. And that is essentially it. That was the example of how you can use any business and distinguish their extended marketing mix elements based on products and based on services.